Good morning. I'm going to talk about this watch here briefly. Garbage truck's out on the street, so I can't pull out and get to work yet. So I got a couple minutes to kill. I figure I'll warm up the van and talk about this here. So this is a watch I bought, and I showed you guys, it was the Magnum video, right, where I said, hey, I bought two inexpensive Magnum PI watches, and this is the Quartz. This is what, it's not the same watch. What Tom Selleck's character Magnum PI wore in the show, it was a Chronosports C Quartz 30. It was a 300 meter dive watch. Pretty similar to this. Now, if you were to try to find one of those watches today, the Chronosports, it's kind of pricey. These Quartz watches, these Quartz military spec, Mil-Spec watches came out in the 70s. They were very popular. And many different companies made them. The case is, I believe it's a British design. CWC makes it. MWC. I watched a video this morning on MWC. It's the logo's different. A couple different things on the dial, but damn near a match. Although I prefer the hands on this. I like the minute hand in orange. You guys might notice that the ticking of the Quartz second hand is almost nailing those. It's funny, on one side it nails them perfect, on the other side it's just slightly off. Of course, it depends on the angle that you're looking at it from. I'll give you guys more of a spec look at this in a moment for you. It'll be later today when I come home for lunch. But when this arrived, I was bummed because the second hand was floating around on the dial there. It was an $80 watch shipped. Had a coupon, I guess, on AliExpress. Came out of China. And that's the thing that sucks the most if something arrives broken, because you got this childlike exuberance and impatience going on where you don't get the instant gratification that you get if you buy something that's here in the country. I could have something shipped here and it could get here in a couple days from the East Coast or something, So you gotta wait weeks, and then when it gets here, it's broken. I was trying to communicate with the guy, and I don't know what they use for their translation tool, but it was impossible to communicate, really. I knew what he meant. I wanted him to send me a replacement, but that's not how they work. They were like, hey, take it somewhere and have it fixed, and that costs more than what the watch cost. So yesterday, we had a rain day here, and I went ahead and I took the watch apart. I went online and I looked up the movement, and I learned how to remove the battery. I mean, taking the case back off is basic stuff, but Quartz watches, automatic watches, coming from different companies, different movements, they have little idiosyncratic differences. They're not all the same. So I had to look that up, and so I had to look how to remove the crown. Crowns are pretty similar, but it's a different little spot in each watch, and it's hard to see what it is and where it is and what each little thing does in there. You don't want to make a mistake. So again, YouTube's great. So I looked that up, pulled the battery, pulled the crown, took the movement out, and for the life of me, I could not get that seconds hand back on. I just couldn't get it. And it's funny, I bought some watch tools off of Amazon, and it came with everything to take the watch apart, but it didn't come with the little pushers to put the hands back on. So I got to get a set of those. Anyhow, I walked over to my watch place around the corner, right? It's a couple blocks away. Mike and his son Vartek over there at Majestic WJ, which stands for, it's Majestic Watches and Jewelry on Larchmont Boulevard in Los Angeles. I walked in, I had the case, and I had just left the second hand in there. I put the movement in there, and I walked over in hand, in a little plastic box. And Vartok, he just took a pair of tweezers, and in seconds had that second hand back on. So super cool. Now, what's really interesting is that I bought a Swiss watch. It's a Swiss movement watch. I'm going to show that to you guys later. they had it on the bench when I was there. They had it all apart, all the parts apart, and they were reconstructing it. You know, they cleaned everything up. I'm not going to get too into the details of that, but it was very exciting. And they're not charging me for this because I did a trade. So Mike, the old man, he was wearing this for a while. Every time I went in there, you see a piece broke off of this. These Armenians, man, they like to wear their cologne. Woo hoo hoo! Woo! Woo! That is too much for me, man. Oh man, I had to put this in a hole in the kitchen under an open window in my apartment. I couldn't keep it on the bench where I was working. It's like every time I walk in the watch place, there's a joke. I'm like, oh, it smells like Armenians in here. We get a good chuckle out of it. I made him one of these, but the one I made him was a little fat for him. He wanted it a little thinner. I trimmed it down. And so when I brought the Swiss watch in, and you could see that the movement was a little tough, he's like, well, it needs a servicing. He says, I won't charge you, just make me another one of these. So what I did was yesterday, since we had a rain day, I made him 2 of them. So they're both bison hide. And I wanted to point out, it's a pretty neat thing. If you like wearing cologne, it's a great way to, you can spritz this thing down and it releases the scent over time, I guess. You always have it on you. These are a little rough, but they'll smooth out with some wear. And yeah, so he just wanted one, but he's just doing me such a solid, and they're such nice guys that I made him 2. So I'll be picking that up probably this afternoon at my lunch break. I'll go over there and then I'll pick up the Swiss watch, and I'll do a video on that for you this weekend. This is for those of you who are interested in the watch thing. And I'll do some tight shots with this. I'll show you the loom. The loom's fantastic. And I'll talk about the couple little things that aren't great and just kind of go over it. But that's it for now. Just the beginning of this video. I thought you guys might get a kick out of it. Garbage truck is gone by now, and I can get to work. So stick around. All right, so this is the watch I bought, the Quartz diver, where the second hand was broken on it. It came to me where it was just not attached. So I just took this thing apart and it's funny because I bought a watch tool set and it didn't come with the tools to push everything back together. Came with everything to take it apart. So I had to roll over to my watch guy, who's right down the street, and ask him to help me out with this thing. And so it worked out fine. But yeah, it's one of those situations. So anyway, here I am. I'm back here at the bench, which is my coffee table. And I need to put this back together here. There we go. I think I have to push a little lever out of the way here to get this battery back in place. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm not going to do it all for you on camera. I don't think, because my hands are going to block it. I don't have a way to set this up, so hang on a second. Sorry, I got that in there. I forgot to turn the camera back on, but I'm just now putting this plastic back in here. There we go. Okay, she's working. O-ring's already in place. There's a rubber seal here. we go. I've got the tool here. I know my hand's blocking this. It's not a professional watch channel. But here's the tool. That's pretty good. So there's the back of the watch. She's working now. Bezel alignment on this thing, I don't know how good it is. I think it's a 60 click. I think I just fixed the bezel alignment. How the heck did that happen? Let's set the time on this here. So we can set you up a little bit better here for the angle. It's a messy table. You don't need much room to do this in. Let's see here. What time is it? It's 2:35, and today's the 1st. So let's see where we're at. Well, I know where we're at here. So 2 o'clock, 2:35. And we know today's the 1st, so we got to cycle this through. Now, that hour hand should probably be below the 3, but it's working. That might only be for mechanical watches. There we go. All right, this sucker's set. So it's a screw down locking crown. I almost forgot to mention, I took it off the NATO strap. I put on this silicone rubber tropical strap, which is more correct to what Magnum wore in the show. The only thing about this silicone stuff is it attracts dust and lint. But it is supple and comfortable. You know, I don't really like wearing rubber straps too much, but for this watch, it's what you would have it on for it to be kind of period correct, other than a NATO. Okay, so here's the watch, and it's on my 7 5/8 to 7 3/4 inch wrist. So yeah, the watch that Magnum wore in the show was a Chrono Sports Quartz 30. Quartz 300 meter dive watch I mentioned earlier in the video. There's two companies right now making kind of an homage to that. One is called a Chrono Ports. The bezel's black, and the hands are pretty close to what the Chrono Sports had. And the only issue is I've seen reviews, and they're saying that the lug holes for the spring bars are too shallow, so they pop off, and the bands are popping off. There's one called a Momentum Quartz 30, and the guy who owns that company, it's a Canadian company, is the original guy who made the Chrono Sports. So the only thing is with theirs, the hands are different. I don't know why they did that. So for 80 bucks, I got a watch that resembles it. I think we see some lume under here. Yeah, I mean, this thing really, the lume on this thing is crazy. Really good. I didn't even charge this. We're not in a dark space, but you can see. It's amazing at night. And this stayed loomed. I got up at 5 o'clock this morning, and I could still read it. So very happy about that. Again, for an $80 watch. Let's get some specs out of the way. All right, so case, 43 millimeter case. Thickness is 12 mil. 20 millimeter lugs. Lug to lug. About 47 millimeters. Only issue with this thing is this bezel has a little looseness to it. Bezel doesn't line up perfect. I'm not too worried. The second hand strikes pretty well on the markers. Not exactly perfect. Depends on the angle you're looking at it from. But again, for 80 bucks, even though I had to fix it myself, I'm pretty stoked with it. some dust on it. I've been wearing it in the shop today, so I apologize. Hang on. So yeah, the Qimei, it's Qimei, something like that, on AliExpress. I talked to Vartak over at Majestic, and he said I could pop this bezel and eyeball it, and I might be able to work the spring or something and make it so that this bezel is tighter. So I might play with this a little bit more and really dial it in. Now, check it out. You know what you're going to see next? You're about to see a $500,000 pocket watch in this video. Don't go anywhere.
Okay.
But what were you saying about this?
It's a minute repeater.
Uh-huh.
Made 1895. And it ranges from $350,000 to $500,000.
So that is so cool. $500,000 pocket watch. How crazy is that? Majestic Watches and Jewelry, Larchmont Boulevard. Go check them out. Mike and Vartek. Vartek's the son. Mike's the old man. Awesome guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Have a great day. Be kind to one another. Catch you all on the next one.